guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back for a brand new video. I know it's been a while since I last uploaded. I have just had an insane amount of problems with uploading videos and having memory to store it and all of that jazz, but hopefully that's all sorted now, and this one you are actually able to see because I filmed so many videos that you have not seen, so hopefully you are sat watching this video today. If you are new here, hi, welcome. My name is Danielle. I am a newly qualified teacher here in the UK and I have a lovely year 4 class. If you haven't guessed already from the title, today I'm going to be speaking to you about tips for applying for your first NQT role. It was around about this time last year when I secured my NQT role. So I thought I'd give you some tips on how I went about doing that. Quick disclaimer, this is not, you know, the perfect application form or anything like that. Different things work for different people, but I just wanted to share with you what I did on my application and how I became successful in getting the role that I am currently in now. If you haven't already, please go and follow me over on Instagram. My name is at Life by Danielle Rose. I will pop it on the screen here, so please go over there and check me out. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So I actually have written down all of my tips that I have. I've gone through my actual application that I did. In fact, have I got it to hand? I think I've got it to hand, bear with me. Yeah, I've actually got my application. Let me just cover up my details, but yeah, that is the application there that I filled out. There's also a job description there as well, so but I'll go through all of that throughout this video. So it is that time of year where you as a trainee will be thinking about jobs for September, for a September start. I know it seems like early to be thinking about it in January, but you definitely do need to be having that on your radar because applications will start opening. I know that in my at my university they'd spoken to us about NQT Pools. I don't know whether this is a thing that happens in all areas and in all cities, but where I live there are quite a few options with NQT Pools. So just to give you some background on the route that I went through with training, I was a school's direct trainee, so I was working directly with the school, but it was affiliated with a university. The university that my training was affiliated with was Birmingham City University, so I had a lot of taught lessons there at the university. So the NQT pools that were associated with that local area were the Birmingham NQT pool, the Black Country NQT pool, and the Walsall NQT pool. At the time, they spoke to us about this in December, and I was going to apply for 2 out of the 3 of those NQT pools. So I had got my application kind of in the process to do that already. But please do find out in your local area if there are NQT pools, because it's one of the better ways to apply for a lot of jobs at one time. From what I understand of the pool, you go for like an interview day with loads of other candidates. I don't know how that will work given the current situation. I would imagine it would be over Zoom or Microsoft Teams or something like that, but you are interviewed by a few different head teachers or deputy head teachers at one time. They're all sat on one interview panel, and after the interview is completed, there's a grading system that they grade you towards, and other head teachers across that area, so for example across Birmingham, will have access to that grading system, and once a job becomes available, they will give you a call and invite you to interview based off your NQT pool interview. That's how I understand it to be. Obviously, I didn't go through the process because fortunately for me, I was able to secure a job before having to do that. But I do think it's a really great way of putting yourself out there. I know of lots of people that have secured a job that way. So definitely find out if there is an NQT pool in your local area. So with regards to your application form, the first thing that I would do, and that I did do, was read the job description and the job specification. In doing so, you will find out whether this school is for you. I read the description and the specification, and I highlighted all of the essential things that I had and all of the desirable things that I had. And I knew that I had a significant amount of the things that they required to work at their school. Therefore, it meant that I felt secure in applying for this job. I felt confident in applying for this job. I felt confident that I would be successful in getting an interview off the back of that information alone. So that would be my first tip, is to make sure you read the job description, the job specification, and highlight all of the essential and desirable attributes that you have according to their job description. My next tip is, and this may sound really, really stupid, but for me it was essential that I did it this way, is to fill out your personal details, your educational history, your job history, your referees, ethnicity, all of those things before even thinking about your personal statement. Obviously, you will already know your personal details. They will already be in your brain. So they're not things that you really have to think about. Have your certificates to hand so that you know the dates and the grades for your personal qualifications. But fill those out before you even think about doing your personal statement. It will be a big weight lifted off your mind if you do that first, because once you finish your personal statement, you can just proofread the whole application and it will be able to be sent off pretty much straight away. The next part, which is the big thing, and I think the selling point of any application form, is most definitely your personal statement or your supporting evidence, depending on how it's stated in the application form. So for me, I left this process till last because it was a thing that I really wanted to concentrate and I really wanted to nail it and get it right. It did take me a few days, but depending on you as a person, it may take you longer or a short amount of time. I did a lot of research on my personal statement. I used snippets out of my personal statement from when I was applying to do it, and I used snippets out of personal statements that I'd seen online, and I just reworked it to suit the job that I was applying for, first of all, and to suit me as an individual. I kind of split mine up into like 8 paragraphs, which I know seems quite long, but I just had lots of different things that I wanted to say. So I'm going to go through how I kind of set mine out. So my first paragraph was how my degree and my PGCE prepared me to be a teacher. And I briefly spoke about my placement and the specialism that I was undergoing throughout my training year as well, and that how my placement gave me a good understanding of the primary curriculum. At that point when I was applying, I'd obviously only done one placement. It's obviously different if you're doing the BA or a BEd course. By this point you've probably done 2, maybe even 3 placements. But if you're doing a PGCE schools direct route, you will have only done the one placement. You may just be going into your second one, but you'll have definitely only completed one placement. And for me, my placement was in Key Stage 2 in Year 6. So I briefly just spoke about how that experience has prepared me to be a teacher. In my second paragraph, which kind of linked into the first, I spoke about my aims and my philosophy of teaching, and how I would have my classroom. And then in the third one, which again links into, well, 3 and 4 were kind of the same. I spoke about learning opportunities, progression, differentiation, and being able to accommodate for all learners. And in doing this, I made sure I provided examples of how I'd done that throughout my training so far. And that is a point that I really want to pick up on, is you need to provide evidence of how you've been able to do the things that you are saying to do. It's all well and good you saying that you were able to differentiate for all needs, including EAL, SEN in your class, but give them an example of how and when you did that, then at least they know that you are capable of doing it. So the next paragraph, I spoke about, learning through different means and making the lessons creative and engaging. So I spoke about ICT and drama. And again, I gave another example of how I did that. In this example, I think I spoke about a lesson where the children were doing Macbeth, which can be quite a dry topic to do. Shakespeare is very hard to understand. And instead of just doing it as a writing piece, the children were able to act out what they did, and it was recorded and we could all watch it back, which made it quite interesting for the children. And a lot of the children in that class really enjoyed drama. So I was tuned into the children's interests as well as making it creative for them. And there was cross-curricular links there too, because they got the chance to edit on iMovie, which linked into their computing module. So again, just embellish what you've done, and it will give you a better chance. It will make you stand out from any other applicant. Then I went on to speak about assessment and how I've used it throughout my training so far. And I particularly focused in on moderation, and that was my example of where I was able to prove I was effective with assessment, because as part of the school's direct training that I was on, my school was part of a MAT, and whilst we moderated as a school, we also moderated as a MAT, which gave me a chance to look at other Year 6 children's work and just compare between the two, see the differences, who was working at age-related expected, who was working towards it, and who was working at greater depth. So again, I spoke about that as an example too. I then moved on to talking about what I have taught so far. So the lessons that I taught. At this point, I think I was teaching a 50% timetable at the end of my first placement. Now that may differ for you particularly, depending on your school, your course, and how you've just progressed throughout your placement. I think for my uni it was a requirement that by the end of the first placement you were teaching up to 50%, which I was definitely doing at that point. So I spoke about the subjects that I had taught, and the relationships that I had created with support staff, because obviously it's really important for you as a teacher to be able to communicate what you want your support staff to do in the lesson and how that support staff is best suited to support the children. So I spoke about that, and that highlights your ability to manage other people and work effectively as part of a team as well, which is something that I would imagine would be in the job specification as an essential attribute. So you really want to focus in on that as well, because I know of teachers that have been scared to communicate with their TA. So it's really important that you create that relationship from the get-go and you're able to communicate what you want them to do. And then finally, I spoke about my personal values and how they align with the school's values. The school that I did my training at and that I was fortunate enough to secure my NQT role is a Church of England school. And myself personally, I went to Church of England primary and secondary schools, and I identify as a Christian, so my values aligned with their values really well, but I gave evidence of that. So at my school we have like 6 values that the school follows, and I spoke about those as well. So that was really interesting to put in the application form, because they could see that I'd done a little bit of research on the school as well. So those are my tips for writing your NQT application form. I hope they've been helpful. I hope they've been useful to you, and I hope you can take something away from this video. Like I said at the beginning, these are not tips that you have to follow and tips that will make your application absolutely perfect. I am just letting you know what I did for my application form and how it helped me in securing my first NQT role. Like I said, I was a school's direct trainee. This was the school that I was training in, and I was fortunate enough that they wanted to offer me a job quite early on in the year, in the process. So all of this happened before COVID, so my application process was a little bit different to, say, somebody who had applied in like May or April time. But nevertheless, it was still, you still have to go through writing the application, and you still have to go through and interview process. So yeah, I hope it's been helpful for you, and if you have enjoyed this video, please go and give it a thumbs up and go and hit that subscribe button. It would really help me out, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.